Give me this. Give me this. This is great.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Get Your Deck Out. It's me, Old Emo Dave, and we're back once again. Stopped edging. We're right here, smack bang in the middle of the eternities. Scott, hope you're doing well. How has your pre-release weekend been?
Stop gooning. Never, ever, ever. Pre-release was fun, but a bit strange. Because a couple of people were saying to me, "Oh, I'll see you next year." I run the Sunday pre-releases that we host, and I had a couple of people saying, "I'll see you next year." And I was like, weird, like, there's loads of sets coming out all the time. And they basically said that Final Fantasy was as far as they go with UB. Avatar's a little bit too far. Spider-Man is a lot too far. I understand the prospect of potentially having disillusioned players because New York is now Magic canon, which is a bit weird, but me and you are way too invested in this to give up at any time soon. We need to look at which Peter Parker is going to break standard in half.
We may take a little detour to the Summoner's Rift if certain friends in Riot send us some cards to look at, but that's another story. This is Get Your Deck Out, not Get Your Magic Deck Out. That's obviously remind ourselves that. But yeah, we'll stay far away from Spider-Man for a week or two. I think that's our own sort of like agreement there. Although, yeah, we saw a very, very early look at quite a lot of tasty cards. A lot of big things that's happening in the constructed realm. Obviously, the big thing of this podcast, if you are a first-time listener, me and Scott talk about your standard, your modern, your pioneer decks, getting them out on the table and figuring out, are you in a good place and what to do with them next. So we have a new set out, and we also have, importantly, for the first time in 2 years, we have a standard rotation, which we need to take a look at, the impact that all of these new cards are going to have for us, and how that isn't going to impact what has been a little break from standard, effectively, for quite a few new players who have come in in the last year or so and have gone, yay, standard, I can play competitively, I can get off arena, I can get into paper. They've just had the last 3 or 4 months where modern was a step too far for money. Now they want to take it seriously again. And it's time for them to think seriously about how do they prepare and how do they get ready their new deck. Now a rotation has hit. First thing we have always, we didn't take part ourselves just because it's summer holidays, so we were doing holiday things in in our Magic Online early access. However, there's been lots of people having early access to the cards. And Scott, what kind of indication is that to you usually about what's about to happen next with any constructed gameplay?
Not much, really. I mean, streamer decks and competitive decks. Sometimes you get something from a streamer in early access where they find something just by happenstance. Most of the time, they are decks where they don't have enough removal, they don't have enough interaction, full stop. They're doing something really powerful, but they're only playing on arena and playing best of one. So you don't actually see anyone bringing in Rest in Peace to stop their graveyard combo or extra removal to disrupt their 3-card creature combo or anything like that.
Yeah, you got to take a lot of these things into account, and I know you gotta take them like it's different games. Like it's a little bit the difference between playing solitaire and blackjack, right? You're playing with cards, but you're playing a different game. And taking a look at a lot of this early access stuff, we can take a lot of learnings from what a lot of the new cards have done. But one of the big things you got to remember is, since the sideboard can come into play, the way that the games are going to play out over the best of 3, especially when the skill curve gets higher and higher, is going to be a lot different. Now, talking to someone here who's definitely game one domed people to the face with my light pause in my time, or I've grease fanged people for 13 and they didn't see it coming. I've also then lost those games 2-1 because I just couldn't get back on the board with effective removal in games 2 and games 3. So something that has to be taken into account, has to be taken a look at. So what I thought we'd do is we'd take a look at some of like the highlights that have sort of come to fore on all across the internet. And again, to sort of highlight this, like all of these streamers who put out these decks, the shade isn't being thrown at you. The shade is being thrown at what you need to do to be competitive in your next RCQ. But I think the first thing probably to say on the top of all of this is take a look at how the cards are performing, not how the deck is performing. Number one.
Are you saying to ignore streamers and that all streamers play bad decks?
Yeah, never ignore podcasters. We know exactly what we're talking about. No, you will see a lot of fun things, and again, they'll be in your feed. They'll be really, really cool. And
all you'll see is the highlights as well.
And all you see is the highlights. You won't see us post sideboard game. So as far as a new thing being achieved yet, we have a zero competitive play, zero things that quote unquote matter. So I would still say for anyone out there who like has been thinking about or had a feeling about what they want to do next, don't stray too far away from the course. Like if you are a combo player, continue to look at that. If you're a control player, keep playing your Jeskai Dragon deck. If you like Oculus, it'll probably still be fine. May need a refining, but you still won't need to go completely sell all your Oculuses and get something else. If you like Ketramo stuff, there's stuff for you. But the early access event is to show off what these new cards will be able to do, not to tell you directly what is going to be successful at your next RCQ.
Would you say this is not financial advice, Dave?
I would say this is not RCQ advice. However, we could talk financial advice on the fact that on the fact that some of these cards did perform well and did look very good. First one I would want to talk about is Cosmic Grand Zenith. We talked about it in the car on a recent vlog to Bath, where we just kind of went, it's fine. Still seems to be fine. Still seems to be playable and still seems to be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, you can pair it with, there's Lumen class frigate from Edge of Eternities, which we had a look at the set on our own time. We both kind of thought most of the spacecraft are a bit naff. By and large, they're not really going to do all that much. But Lumen class frigate, 2 mana with station, 2+ other creatures you control get +1/+1. And then 12+, it's a 3/5 flying lifelink as well. But that, along with, you've got Resolute Reinforcements from Foundations, you've got Honored Knight Captain from the new set, which is like Resolute Reinforcements without flash, Enduring Innocence, Cosmic Grand Zenith, Warden of the Inner Sky even, where you have some of these old Convoke pieces that you can just kind of cut all the Convoke stuff and just kind of play White Weenie.
Yeah.
One card that I think people are sleeping on a little bit is Voice of Victory. It is incredibly powerful. It is really, really good. And there's plenty of ways to anthem them if that's what you care about. You've got Lumen class frigate, you've got War Leader's Call that everyone was losing their mind over that is still standard legal. People have forgotten about that. You go turn 2 Voice of Victory, turn 3 War Leader's Call, you're pinging them for 2 off the War Leader's Call, and then you've got 3/2 power creatures hitting them. And that's a turn 2, turn 3. That's ignoring what you do on turn 1. That's ignoring what you do after the War Leader's Call. So maybe something in the red-white space. Generally, with the new format, start aggressive, work back.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen anything that is really spiking your neurons, making your brain fire off, just play a deck without Edge of Eternities cards for a little bit. If you just go into your weeklies, just go into your locals, just ignore it. See what's performing, keep an eye on the data, which is something that I'm a big proponent of, is looking at the data. We use mtgdex.net. We use MTG Top 8, sometimes MTG Goldfish as well. In the modern era, it's not how it used to be, where you'd hear whispers on the wind from the next city over of this newfangled deck that was doing really well and you didn't know what was in it. You can see pretty much everything now.
Yeah, it's pretty quick to get solved. And I think the actual game now is to improve your edges. Your
edge of eternities.
Yeah, you need to edge from your 53% to your 54 and 55% win rates, which over time and over gameplay will be the difference between you being a top 200 mythic player and you just being top of diamond and stuff like that. Early doors, things will get broken pretty quickly. People are showing us things that are pretty cool right now, and I think, as you'd like to still reference Cosmic Grand Zenith, we've seen people to put it in a pixie shell, and that's fine, right? You just basically stick that and the what is going to be Pauper All-Star Cryogenic Relic. You can stick that in as a sort of a bounce target, so you're effectively stunning things all the time. Cool. You're going to 2-spell a lot. You're going to anthem your things a lot. The deck is probably going to be okay, but it's also going to come up against some of the problems that Pixie did in the current meta.
And that deck's going to evolve from that point. Like you talked about, what's that? 12 cards in a package. You could put that in a blue-white deck. You could put it in a black-white deck, red-white, green-white, mono-white, 3-color. Take your pick.
I even saw someone talk about, and I really love to explore this, put in the Pixies in red-white to play weapons manufacturing, which is the one in a red, which when you play a non-token artifact, you make this munition. So, and then also you've got some Pilkieran that when you bounce a token, you draw a card. So basically, some Pilkieran's ETB is deal 2 damage, draw a card. So it suddenly becomes an incredible 2-drop flyer.
Yeah, but things like that where you go, oh well, weapons manufacturing works really well with some Pilkieran. I might look at it and go, weapons manufacturing works really well with Rotten Mouth Viper. You have pieces that you can move around, and it's something that Wizards do really well, and it's why Magic is a really appealing game to a lot of people, is they will just drop these breadcrumbs where you look at weapons manufacturing and think, oh well, I've played a Pixie deck, some Pilkieran, really good, get a little bit of bonus out of the extra text on that card. I looked at it and I thought, I swear there was a card in Wilds of Eldraine that did something with artifacts, and it's Food Fight where you can sacrifice artifacts and deal damage to things. So Food Fight and weapons manufacturing, it's two mana enchantments that do absolutely nothing by themselves, but if you combine them, then we've got a little bit of juice happening. Mono red artifacts, blue red, who knows?
And then we've got a beautiful lobster that makes everything food.
Yeah. And exactly.
That's the dream streamer deck, right? And when you take it to an RCQ and you crush dreams with a lobster hitting you for 2, that's an incredible one. And you play Cyborg Yigras just for the memes. No, but absolutely lots of flexibility being shown in sort of in that sort of early space. You mentioned White Weenie, you see, because ultimately White Weenie is a known archetype. We've seen it across the years. It has kind of not been around for the last sort of 3 or 4 sets. Looks like it could be coming back. Other thing that looks like it could be coming black. Well, I am talking black. I am talking mono black. Lots of people playing around a mono black shell. Obviously, Cecil is a card that's been seen play across multiple formats, and black tends to have the enablers for the void packages. What is happening here? Are we having an overcorrection to I want to stay in my lane with monocolor decks because of less selection, or is this is this a good play based upon where like the narrower pool means that like you need to stay stronger. You just stay stronger in one particular lane rather than necessarily trying to splash colors left, right, and center.
It's easier to not make mistakes in deck building when your pool of cards is smaller and your mana base is a lot easier. But also with specifically mono black. Mono black begets itself, where black, just color pie wise, is one of those colors where you're more likely to see cards that are black instead of black and one, or black in the case of the charm from Edge of Eternities. That's a really simple way to go, well, I'm just going to put timeline color and the charm and maybe some Sothera or what have you in my Unholy Annex Dark Confidant deck, where it can only go so wrong. I'll have some removal in there, I'll have some threats, I'll have some long game. It's going to naturally lean quite aggressive being a monocolor deck where generally you're going to be playing more on curve, you're going to be having issues with your colors less. Early on in formats like this, aggro decks do very well, and particularly monocolored aggro decks for those reasons. It will take a couple of weeks before the control decks even really understand what they're fighting. Mm-hmm. Maybe Pinnacle Star Cage isn't that playable, but then that'll be because of the way the format looks. We've just come out of a format where Temporary Lockdown was really, really good. We might be moving into a format that revolves around 3-drops, and then all of a sudden Pinnacle Star Cage just isn't very good.
Yeah, so Pinnacle Star Cage being that card effectively replaces Temporary Lockdown, and some of the let's call it the the lame duck meta that we're in right now of current standard. You got people doing the landfall stuff. You got people doing VV, where effectively that's got a lot of 1s and 2s in it as well. Helps slow them down if you remove things. Potentially, in the early doors, people will just continue to stay aggressive, continue to stay low to the ground, and eventually you will potentially see a change. There is a lot of cards now at 3 and 4 and higher that are really strong, really, really high powered, and the game might turn to stopping you from getting there rather than necessarily rather than trying to win early. With 1s and 2s, it might become, I'm going to try and outvalue with 3s and 4s. We don't know this yet, and as we say, definitely not a time to overcommit, but it's also not necessarily a time to completely wrap the credit card out and start picking up cards which are currently sitting at £20-30.
Yeah, please don't go out and buy like Quantum Riddlers and all of these other cards that are sitting at quite high price points.
Absolutely. Something to come on to is where Shocklands have gone. There's been an expected movement, but before we get onto the movement, one final expensive card to talk about is seeing that it's been a meme in our local meta. It's been something that we've joked about, talked about, and I'm actually still not sure if I'm supposed to bleep this out on the podcast or not. Probably need to check this out with the UK laws that we have.
We'll get away with it.
Raise the pass decks, aka the raise the piss decks. And the law behind that one is that we actually had a standard RCQ about like the end. It was like March, April time. Where,
it was towards the end of the season. Yeah,
where great guy, I think his name was Martin. Martin, if you do listen to this, and Nick, you actually called Jeff, please call me out on this. But came with a raise the pass deck, but had like golden versions of half of the cards.
I think it was nearly all of them. They had the Aether Drift Buy a Box like first place promos.
It was incredible. So they effectively were raised in the piss, which was a wonderful sight and a wonderful meme. Was tried regularly by one of the good friends of the channel, HMRC, Mr. Taxman himself. But now we have Zephyroth and we have Umbral Collar Zealot. The deck's probably legit. And
Sothera, don't sleep on Grave Pact. Grave Pact that exiles that can, if your opponent plays a big dumb idiot, you sometimes just get it. Even if that's in the sideboard, it's still a really powerful effect.
Yeah, so the deck has been all over the early access. A lot of people even saying, "Oh, we won't play this in early access because we're trying too hard, because it's that strong." Right? Yes. Once again, we'll talk Greasefang. Right? This deck will win games. This deck will win game ones. You need to have a plan, and you need to have an ever-evolving plan, which is going to be a very easily hateable game plan.
Rest in peace is standard legal. I've said it a million times. I'll continue saying it. Rest in peace, Leyline of the Void, Ghost Vacuum, Soul Guide Lantern, all standard legal.
So just remembering, if you're going to go down this line, and also if you're going to spend £30 a pop on Zephyroths, because if you're going to play this deck, you need to buy 4. I know. There's the bad news. There's the bit of financial advice. Get 4 of them, because if you only got 2 of them, your deck's 50% worse. So, however, the deck requires you to get what we will know as death triggers or dies triggers. We've had a very interesting little Discord discourse. We should have like a little section for that. The Discord discourse of the week. It is helping people understand that for something to die in actual MTG, it's not actually that term. It's actually to go to the graveyard. Is the actual
from the battlefield.
So that is definitely the more YouTube appropriate term for that. So when you have things like a Rest in Peace, you have a Late Night of the Void, things do not. And also when people remove you through exile, remembering that there's a lot of exile removal.
And Duskro's Reliquary.
Yes.
Those types of things.
You are not going to the graveyard. So if you haven't got multiple cards, tricky cards, so we're talking like your Cathar Commando, we're talking like your instant speed removal, as well, to get rid of enchantments and artifacts, which could potentially remove your graveyard, you need to get them in your sideboard straight away. And you need to evolve it often. You need the creature ones as well, because you need creatures, because you need your creatures to go to the graveyard. So it's going to be a very tricky balance. The deck, I think, will be playable. I think it will be something that you can play reasonably well and you can master. I think, to echo the earlier statement, though, be in this lane. If you then want to do this across multiple formats, I'm pretty sure you'll then be able to drop your Zephyroths in a Pioneer deck. You'll be able to definitely play some kind of modern tier 2 thing with Gravecaller,
Yawgmoth, Warren Soul Trader, that sort of thing. And the thing is that's the flip side with Sephiroth and with Commander cards. Is Sephiroth will hold its value, but that's because it's a UB card, it's a beloved character, and it will maintain its value, and it's Commander playable as well. So you look at the One Ring. It got banned in the format that everyone needed 4 of it for. Its price went down. It has now rubber banded because people like the One Ring. Lord of the Rings is cool. People want to play with it and want to play with UB cards, and it's really good and really playable in Commander. I'm going to look at Card Market now as we talk. It's back up to 55 to 60 euros in the UK.
Yeah, which basically means it's touching the whole $100 mark in the States. So, which is crazy, but also another example when you're talking Magic, and we talk about the not financial advice, but you absolutely do need to listen to people who've been around a long time, and you also need to listen to a lot of people who are giving you sound advice who've been there and done that. And that sound advice that we're going to come on to is the fact that obviously we've had a print of Shocklands. We said a couple of shows ago. They're going to be very impactful to the standard format. So we've yet to see it, but we can tell you they will be. Like, I've pretty much taken, for example, my Jeskai control deck. I've pretty much gone, right, the sensible cut here is buy my 4 red white verges, put in 4 red white shocks, because then that enables my other verges easier. Like it's just an upgrade, straight upgrade across the piece. You've got things like aggro decks where Battlefield 4 just dropped out. You're just dropping 4 in there. So having these cards, full stop, is great for your current standard play. They are going to be essential for Eternal formats. And the one surprising thing, although we kind of called it out that it might go this way, we are still technically in pre-release season era crazy pricing. And we are seeing, from my experience of near 5 years now at Magic, we are seeing historic lows on Shocklands.
They've been printed a couple of times recently as well, which is helping keep the price suppressed, where one printing would cause it to drop a little bit and then they'd rebound back. The thing is, these are going to rebound. They always do. They might rebound to slightly lower, maybe, but Shocklands traditionally sort of 10, 15 quid, about 12 quid maybe, somewhere around there. And I'm looking now, you can get a Godless Shrine, let's take that as an example, from Edge of Eternities. The cheapest ones are from Italy for 5.69, and that's euros.
See, that's incredible. Like,
so cheap.
Ultimately, when I was finishing off my modern deck, the lowest in the UK price I could pick up for a Sacred Foundry before shipping was £12.60, so that's like €15. So, yeah. So that's the shift and change. Look, they're the best lands. They're the best lands that will ever be legal in constructed formats, right? You know, like ever again. Obviously, we've got. Yeah, but fetch lands, go get them. You need your shot. You need to be able to go get your Shocklands, right? So
I don't know if that's true. I'll educate you now. Little Miss 5 years, right? You were not around for Khans of Tarkir standard.
I was not. No.
Right. People were playing 4 color decks in standard based off the back of fetch lands, and they were going and getting Zendikar battle lands or basics. Those were their choices. And people were playing full 4 color decks. Shout out Moist Abzan. And It was like easy. The mana base was easy. Fetch lands, they were printed in MH2 most recently, I want to say.
MH3.
We had some special guest versions as well. At one point, you could pick up some fetch lands for like cheap, like 10, 12 quid. And I remember Scalding Tarns being 120. They've already rebounded, like Scalding Tarn, €20 at least, looking more like 25.
Yeah.
Shocklands will do similar. It might take a couple of years, but they will go back. Don't buy them now. It's pre-release season, unless you can find someone on a Facebook group that you trust where you can get vouchers off them, where they're just trying to offload all their pulls like really quickly. Do not buy them now. Wait another week, maybe 2 weeks. Wait for them to start bottoming out. Look at those graphs, the MTG stocks of it all. If you can pick up these Shocklands for £5-6 a pop, yeah, fair enough. You look at it and you go, oh, that's £200 for all 10 playsets. First of all, you can get really cool versions of all of them, and that's a flex, and we like a flex. Point number 2 is that's the cheapest they're ever going to be. I understand that not everyone is in quite as privileged a financial situation as you or I, Dave. But even if you only play blue-red, let's say, and you think, oh, well, Steam Vents. Is that in the set? I don't think it is. So look at Steam Vents. I'll go on. I'm just going to keep scrolling through Card Market. Steam Vents, 15 quid, 15 euro, 20 euro, somewhere around there. And that's for good versions. And the Godless Shrine is 6.
Yeah, big difference.
Buy the cheap ones. Use that to determine what you play. If you are in a financial spot where you can't do what we're suggesting and say drop 200 quid on Shocklands, I've been in that position many a time. And I've been playing this game for a long time. I've been playing it through much worse financial situations than I'm currently in. I used to have to sell Magic cards to pay my bills. I have been in that situation, and I understand what that's like, to look at decks and think, right, I need to make every penny count. I need to make every pound count, because I only get a certain amount of this and I am limited on it. And is that a case of, well, you turn up for a weekly and you're playing an extra basic or two instead of those 2 Verges that you couldn't pick up? Yeah, but that's fine. It's not going to matter that much. If you look at your deck and you think, oh, I don't need Sacred Foundries for this one, but Sacred Foundries at a historic all-time low, it's £5-6. You think in 2 months these are going to be 12 quid. If you can spare that 20 quid and pick them up, and you think, right, well, I need to play red-white now, but red-white's been historically pretty good in standard. There's a lot of good red-white cards. You've got Artifact Aggro, you've got the Convoke style stuff, you've got what I talked about with like Voice of Victory, Arabella, War Leader's Call, that sort of thing. You don't need to play every single one of those cards, and if you can find a common or an uncommon or a cheaper version of a card that is marginally worse, but because it's not the best version, you can play that one for, say, call it bulk rates. If you're paying 50p for a card instead of 20 quid for a card and you're missing a point of toughness, you might lose 1 game out of every 30 because of that. If that. Me and Dave are competitive players. We're always going to maximize. We're the idiots where we will go out and buy a 1 toughness upgrade for an extra 15 quid. But not everyone can do that, and being able to play competitively, budget shouldn't be a limiting factor to that, and that's a whole different discussion. But if you play smart with your money, it'll allow you to play smart with your cards.
Yeah.
And that is financial advice.
Yeah, absolutely. We joke about it and meme about it a lot. I think the straight up answer, though, is that many in my long toothed 5 years, the only bit of advice that's been rung true across multiple people who like to put their 2 pence in is get a solid mana base, and then play within the rest of your means.
It's the boring answer, because lands are boring, and it's not as exciting as buying that 3-drop mythic that does all the cool stuff that is 20 quid because of Commander. But then you go to your weekly and you realize it's not actually that good. Being able to cast your spells is a lot more fun than casting specific spells.
Exactly. Like, I had a Tezzeret in pre-release, right, which is ultimately like a £20-25 card at the moment in pre-release. Ultimately, that's not going to build my deck. What will, though, is now that I sell it and I get 3 Watery Graves.
I might buy that off you for what it's worth. We'll see.
But is that's the big thing, is like, you know, you're gonna need that stuff. I already have the red-white land, so I could probably now sell that and then have the full mice package. You know, that took a dive, and you know, that's another deck that hopefully in the next couple of weeks we might see returning in a slightly different gaze, with maybe like the 1-drop white card with the Offspring on it. We just don't know. Like, there's definitely angles for all of these decks to come back in, but Shocks.
It doesn't matter what the spells are, because the lands are always going to be the same.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what that red-white deck is. it's playing Sacred Foundry.
I will even say this to another fantastic land, which, like, obviously, if you have the financial means to pick them up, pick them up. But the Surveyor lands can be a secondary choice because they're only really necessarily good if they fit the deck you're playing.
There are plenty of decks that don't want tap lands, so
don't worry about those.
Difference. That's the difference between Surveil lands and Shock lands. Where Surveil lands are really powerful. They're really good. Not even close to Shock lands.
Yeah, so get some Shock lands. Get those in your deck over the next coming weeks. So you can join us on August the 9th in Cardiff for our Commons Clash, our first one ever in Wales, called it Commons Clash Cymru. And also, yes, if you are going to be making it down to Cardiff on either that weekend, or you can make the weekend after, the 16th and the 17th, is the Axion special event in Cardiff, where me and Scott will be there. We'll tell you a little bit more about in what capacity over the coming weeks. But we'd love to see you. If you haven't picked up your Shocklands by then, there'll be quite a few traders on site for you to pick them up, or loads of opportunities for you to draft as well. Go take a look at Axion Now's website for your tickets for that, because one thing we can guarantee you, everything's going to sell out. Like, we're the biggest LGS in the country, but all of the seats will go because Magic is in such a good place right now, and so is all of our local communities for getting involved in these events.
Plenty of people getting their deck out.
Absolutely. Left, right, and centre. But it's a good time. I feel like, as far as a power level of this set is concerned, I feel like we've had a good old solid 6 out of 10. I'm saying a 6 out of 10, taking the Shockland significance out, because I think actually they make it a little bit more. But I think like they need to be taken in a vacuum of, they're not just in this set, they are available from previous sets as well, or via traders on Car Market, etc. Which I think is a really good thing. I think, we definitely have got still in product fatigue.deck right now, and having much more to think about other than small slight upgrades and improving our mana base would be a lot to sink in and a lot to take. One thing which was going to potentially be problematic was the spacecraft. The good thing I think we can report is a bit of these are just like battles in Marching Machines, barely significant. Cool if you like them.
One or two that are playable.
Yeah, but no changes. We mentioned the frigate earlier. We probably will see that in a very specific build, but not like universally everywhere. Outside of that, I really couldn't call a meta deck choice for any single one of the ones in the card list, Scott.
No, it doesn't seem like they're that impactful. The station lands have high costs on them by and large. They might show up here and there. You might have the ones that have stuff front loaded into their mana cost. So Entropic Battlecruiser, for example, like the 4 mana one where 1+, it's whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life. Maybe that sort of thing, but it doesn't look like any of them are bananas busted. They missed on the mark. They've messed up. Synthesizer Lab Ship's another one where you see it here and there purely because it can animate things, and it itself is a 1 mana artifact. So there you're kind of doing both, where you're getting a cheap artifact, but that's relevant more because it's a cheap artifact that has text on it, as opposed to, I really want to get this to 9+ charge counters, so it's a 4/4 flying vigilance. That's not relevant. It does feel a little bit like battles. It feels a little bit like they purposefully undershot to see how they were received and how this type of thing is received. With the station lands, you're seeing really high charge counter costs. And for some reason, with like the Tellurian Academy and the Guy's Cradle, it's green and tap I don't know at what point in development they thought, yeah, we need to add the green mana cost on because otherwise this is messed up. But
yeah,
they're just fine to bad by and large.
It's exactly that. I heard a lot of narrative over the weekend from people about how, well, they're just the commander cards, right? Which
I don't know if they're even that. That's the thing.
But we've had no formal confirmation on the future site. Obviously, we've seen to Lorwyn and Strixhaven, right? So we know Lorwyn's coming, and we know Strixhaven's after it. We don't actually know the rest of 2026 yet, which actually is a bit strange for Magic by this point.
We've a little bit, yeah. We normally get about 2 years.
Yeah, so I think the good guess is we're going to probably get something else Marvel next year, because they did kind of breadcrumb that in the original statement that it'd be 2 years of Marvel stuff. Yeah, so maybe what we're seeing is, if we also take the clue of a recent Maru a Tumblr post where he was asked about when's our next master set, and it was just a flat no time soon, which he quite wears his heart on his sleeve, to be fair. They're like, when he kind of like needs to cover something up or he needs to hide something, he tends to give an elongated post which kind of says, oh, well, they're talking about it, so it's in the wings. This was a straight up, yeah, no time soon, which maybe that's where we're going with design, is that we're going to have these sets, we're going to get like 10 to 20 playables for constructed formats, and the rest of it's going to be like your kitchen table commander add-ons, upgrading certain strategies. Who knows? We're not play design, we're not set design. All we know is that the formats that we play are in pretty decent spots, and we just want to see more people playing at an affordable price point, and I think we're heading in that direction.
It's a combination of, we as enfranchised players would rather the cards be worth next to nothing, and
absolutely,
that's always been my standpoint. That was my standpoint when I didn't have very many cards. It's my standpoint now where I have, shout out bulk box, 3 bulk boxes at my feet full of cards and quite a lot of money in you need a new bulk box, obviously.
I do
quite a lot of money in the game. I'd rather these cards be worth nothing.
Yeah, but same.
We keep having these UB sets where they're pushing the RRP as high as they possibly can. And honestly, I think at this point, that's the bit I resent about this the most, is if you're going to Funko Pop Fortnite IP slop my game, at least do it in a way that doesn't hit me in the wallet as well.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, fine, like Lord of the Rings is fun and flavorful, and I can kind of get past that. Final Fantasy I can accept. Avatar, right on that line. Spider-Man, too far. I'm going to keep playing through all of this. It's not going to be the straw that breaks my particular camel's back. I know of people where it will be.
Yeah.
And part of that is the cost. And it is why we always like make these jokes about like not financial advice, because we don't want to be held financially accountable for it. But we will do what we can to talk you through how to play competitively. Some of that is keeping that price low. We've got a Spotlight series this year where I know that you want to go. I know that I want to go. My partner will probably want to go, and we'll have a load of local players who want to go. Keeping the cost down on that is an art form, and being able to balance comfort with cost is an art form. That's part of playing competitively. That is expensive enough without £40 Vivies in standard, because a single Final Fantasy booster costs you like £9.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big balance, as Scott mentioned. We're here to make you realize, basically, help you understand that like you can play competitively. There's ways to keep your costs down. There's affiliate code, there's website, there's trusted sellers. There is a Discord that will be launching soon for people to come and join, so that we can kind of keep things as formal as affiliate as we possibly can, to make sure that people, are doing this safely, doing this as like affordably as they can in the best environments possible. So let's just hope it's not You Be My Little Pony or something like that, which is going to turn you off completely. Actually, the way you're raising your eyebrows, I think that's going to bring you back in.
For what it's worth, I'm not sure there's many UB sets that I would actually vibe with fully. I'd rather them just do secret layers, just do skins. Give me
a Star Trek.
This. Give me this. This is great. I love this. Having counter spells with SpongeBob on, which pisses my opponents off. Brilliant. Do so much more of that. Do as much of that as we can get. It is my choice if I go out and I spend 20 quid on a counter spell. The same way that it's my choice that I've gone out and bought beta basics. That is my choice. It is not a requirement for playing the game that I go out and I buy Sephiroth for £40, and £20 of that cost is because it's Sephiroth.
So you're not going to be sad when you when my Beza makes a Sonic the Hedgehog ring in a couple of weeks' time?
Go for it. That's great. I love it.
Zoom.
It's skins. It's just skins. Skins is fine. Gameplay impact, less fine. And that is a sentiment that I've seen a lot. With some of the secret layers, some of them are just completely illegible as magic cards. And those are the in-universe ones. The Noxious Revival that one of our local players, Idris, has is horrific. I cannot read it. I don't know what it says. I'm lucky that I know what Noxious Revival does. That's fine. It's still a magic card. When you've got Peter Parker or some Iron Spider suit where the old art is Gwen Stacy or something, but I don't understand why that is, because I haven't read a comic book in about 12 years and I stopped watching Marvel at Endgame. I don't understand why these are the way that they are. I didn't understand some of it with Lord of the Rings, but I got past that and that was fine. That's because that kind of makes sense to me. I'm already against this. Kind of
magic-y, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm already against this. Stop giving me reasons to not like it. Stop giving me sagas that are comic book strips. They look awesome. They look really, really cool. Can you imagine commentating over a match where people are playing them?
Absolutely not. I think we've actually established during this conversation where the actual line is about where we wanted to take it forward. So to camera, to let you know, Gavin and Play Design everything, okay, we're okay with the Fortnite-ification. We're fine with it. Skins, cool, right? The Candy Crush-ification of it, nah. We don't want it. We don't want pay to win. We're cool with skins. We don't want pay to win. And the Scott look at you in the eye.
Give me a RuneScape secret lair. I will give you all of my money.
So,
I ain't kidding as well.
So it's
if I get a Shadow Spear, there's a Rune Scimitar. Boom, I'm in.
Actually, quite really funny. The first time I've ever really said out loud exactly that is that I think Magic players are a lot. It's usually the trope people say, the Fortnite-ification of my game is like killing it off. It's actually not, because you like what Fortnite does, right? Fortnite is a completely free game, and if you want to like jazz it up, you pay a little bit more money and you jazz it up. If you don't, you just play the game, right? Like that's literally
everyone goes into it going, I won't buy skins. I'm just going to play the game, see what it's like, and then you play it for a week and you enjoy the game and you think, oh, I'm doing this like John Wick, kind of cool.
Yeah.
So then you do it as John Wick for a bit. And then that's fine. They make their money. You get the visual cue. Great.
And it's the Sephiroth thing is the greatest spot on the head, right? Sephiroth is a very, very good card. Should probably be at an Elspeth Stormslayer £24 level.
Yeah.
With like Elspeth Stormslayer is probably the best Planeswalkers printed in a long time, like since the 3-mana ones, right? So that's probably the correct price point.
Final Fantasy collector boosters, the boxes, I don't even know how much they are now. I know it's over like $1,500. That isn't right.
It's so much that right now in a random store in Cardiff, not ours, even a Japanese version was £70 a collector booster to buy. They wanted £70 a collector booster.
That is insane. I'm going to look it up on TCG Player now.
Even Old Man Dave money will not actually buy that. So, but while Scott is looking that up,
it's $1,500.
$1,500,
and that's what, 8 packs.
And you could just completely nosedive in that as well. There's no guarantee of a £500-600 return. You could get $40, like something ridiculous. I go back to. God, I sound like that one guy who always brings up the one time he did something, but that time I top 8 in the Axion.
Oh, 4-color energy never drew the fucking Mockingbird. Got mentioned on the dive down. Never, ever stops talking about it. Carry on.
But we're going to talk about the fact that I had a collector booster box. I opened it, right? You take away the Surveil lands, which I only had 4 Surveil lands, so like actually that was about £50, right? So my actual value in raise of a collector booster box was £23.50. So this is something which was like what, $249 retail. So like,
I don't know. I don't buy packs.
It's something around that level. When, like, bear in mind this was when the set was just recently out. I think it was like the one set after the one set. So like, can you imagine dropping like $250 on something and getting like a 70 quid, like that 70 quid return? Like the kick in the gut if you dropped 1,500 is, and you didn't get a serialized Sephiroth, is just incredible. Like,
they don't have serialized cards in Final Fantasy, do they?
Do they not? That's even more of a...
It's just like the Surge foil shit with the old art, where scalpers are picking it all up. They've all come over from Pokemon, and you see people on Reddit asking if they should get their full art foil water retrieve PSA graded. It's like, well, it's not the same thing. It's not. You can't buy Edge of Eternity's collector boosters and think, oh well, someone at some point is going to be paying £700 for one of these.
Nope.
And it's doing is making the game more expensive.
Yeah,
I understand Hasbro has to make money. I understand that off of their earnings calls, the entirety of Hasbro is going to total shit, apart from Wizards and apart from Magic.
Magic the Gathering is literally carrying, like, on its back.
We are tasked with keeping Hasbro alive and making sure the shareholders can buy an extra yacht this year. I understand that. The more they take the piss, the more they're going to drive enfranchised players away. And as much as enfranchised players don't give them as much money as, say, new players. And that's why they historically haven't cared very much. I haven't bought very much Magic product in the last 5 years. However, I've probably been a reasonable part in getting over 100 people into the game. And how much money have they spent? A lot more than I'd spend. A lot more.
Yeah, the ecosystem of the game existing is like actually probably just as valuable, and the problem is they're driving what appear to be the entry points higher and higher, whilst all the things which are historically a problem are actually getting lower. Like there's got to be a break point, and I do wonder again. Obviously, Lorcana has come along and actually kind of niche, very very nichely gone. We'll be third, thanks. it's like we don't want to fight Pokemon. We don't want to fight Magic. We'll be third. Like, we'll do a very solid structure with reasonable sized events. We're actually not going to
same as Flesh and Blood as well, as they have found their lane and they sit nicely in that lane. They do what they do and they do it really well. This is from an external perspective. I've never touched a Flesh and Blood card. I've never played the game. I've played one game lifetime of the Final Fantasy, and I haven't touched a Pokemon card since I was about 9 years old. I only play Magic. So this is an external perspective. Pokemon tournaments look like a absolute clusterfuck, and I want nothing to do with them. It seems like 40-year-olds taking money off 7-year-olds, and I don't like that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! They're fine. They, by and large, Yu-Gi-Oh! As an entire game is just a bit toxic. So fine. Flesh and Blood do what they do really, really, really well. They give a lot of their prize support in promos, which Wizards could do, and they choose not to. Unless you're talking about like Pro Tours and stuff like that, where like Pro Tour Final Fantasy, you could get a Gandalf that was worth 1,200 quid or something. That is the way to do it. Let people spend $5,000 on a top 8 Dark Ritual if they want to. The people that can do that and the people that want to do that, let them do it. Give me a Jace the Mind Sculptor that's 200 quid. The City of Brass. As much as I hate that the promo isn't a standard card and isn't playable, that City of Brass is still about 130 to 180 pounds. I played a standard Store Champs and won it with Pyromancer's goggles. Ho ho, shout out. But that is great. And you got people out, you got people playing, you got people invested, and then some people might turn around and look and go, oh, well, how can I win these cards?
Yeah.
And then they start playing competitive Magic, and then they speak to some of their friends, and their friends are like, where are you going every Tuesday? Like, you're never free. And they're like, oh, well, I'm playing this game. Like, you should check it out. And they're like, oh, cool. And like, show me about it. Like, when I met my partner, God, nearly 11 years ago, she had vaguely heard of Magic, didn't play it. And before we were even together, she saw me fiddling with my cards. She looked at the art in particular and went, these cards look really cool. Like, she wasn't really a gamer. She played like a bit of Zelda, Animal Crossing, that sort of thing. She looked at the art and she was like, some of these cards look really cool. And I went, right, okay, like, do you want to try playing it? And she went, oh, go on then. Like, we'll give it a go. Gave her just like a simple deck. I played with her. About a week later, we ordered the first box. And it went on from there. And she got a deck builder's toolkit because she wanted to have her own cards. I respect that. She opened a Brimaz. She is still violently in love with that card, even though it's not particularly good.
Shout out Brimaz, what a card.
She discovered Slivers. She played Slivers in Modern for about 7 years. But she has spent a lot of money in this game. And the only reason she's here is because I showed her the game and showed her how to play it. So as much as Wizards want to keep this profit machine rolling, and I'm sure the stockholders have the perspective of these people are worms and worth nothing to us. Dave and Scott sitting in Cardiff don't buy product very much. All they do is go to tournaments and give local game stores money, which them keeping local game stores afloat is kind of okay for us, I guess, when we could just sell our booster boxes through Amazon. Like, by and large, they don't care about us, but I think if we were to stop playing the game and you lose all your experienced players and you lose all your constructed tournaments, interest in the game is going to wane.
Yeah.
Commander can't do all of it. Commander has done some beautiful things for this game. It has done some absolutely crap things for this game as well. And it by itself will not keep this game afloat.
Yeah, you destroyed the pipeline, which, to be fair, the pipeline broke. The pipeline grew some big old seals. COVID-19.
Yeah, and COVID blew it in half.
Yeah,
like fully.
But what Commander did was put some fantastically strong duct tape on those holes. But what it also did, it put a big, massive wedge of concrete into the new payer pipeline. The specifically good one, the entrenched one, which was you're now going to be in the game for the rest of your life because you're going to enjoy it and you're going to be part of it. What it did is blocked up this pipe, and it did a detour into Precon City, which ultimately what happens is either you go into Precon City, you meet your 4 best mates for life, and you always play together and you never get involved in any of the culture, and you might invite one of your mates' new partners into the game, or like you might find Bob from work who also likes playing, so then or maybe you'll stick around. But like what you've also done is you've also gone, I've actually learned that when I learned this game, I'm actually not supposed to win at this game. So, the other versions of this game, I don't want to play with you. So that whole arm is slowly like shriveling and dying because no one's joining it because you put a massive, you stopped your pipeline. So
we're speaking as competitive players, and we both play Commander. I know we will sit here and shit on it. That's mostly for the YouTube views and the YouTube algorithm. Got ya. Where I've got a Commander deck sitting next to me that is very blinged out. It's a very, very loved deck. It's a Derevi deck that me and my partner have really, really, really loved. And it's got expeditions in there that I've won from playing. It's got cards in there that are not optimal, but we turned around to each other and I want it. It's fun. It's got an Alish Norn in there, like the 7 mana one. It's not particularly good. It's fun. And it's one of Jen's favoured cards, so it's in there. And I've got cards in there that she's like, why are they here? And it's because I like them. And that's the Commander vibe. I will be drunk at 1 a.m. round a dining room table with 3 of my mates playing Commander. I won't be trying to win. I'll just be trying to piss one of them off. And that's the Commander vibe. And I can lean into that. But then 2 days later, I'll walk into a local game store for an RCQ and go, all right, I'm ready to compete.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think Magic is a better place when people can do both.
Yeah, recent discourse across a lot of the short channels is even the infighting of the EDH and CEDH communities for these exact same points. I think we'll probably wade in on it one day. We'll do that as a specific talking point. But for now,
we'll Commander episode. Oh, we'll get so many viewers.
But for now, effectively sit back and say, keep the game cheaper, Fortnite-ify it if you want. But please get rid of the pay to winness because it's starting to really hurt people's wallets and their interaction.
And with the amount of products that are coming out as well, it's like Edge of Eternity's pre-release was this weekend. We were getting Spider-Man spoilers on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, and that was a bad
look. I am an entrenched player. I should care about these spoilers. I should be looking at these thinking, "Oh, what decks can I build?" I don't care.
Yeah,
I just don't care.
I don't care that it was Comic-Con. I appreciate that it was Comic-Con. I'm just going to tell it as it is. That was a bad look. It was not very good. It's not been very well received by majority of people play the game a lot. And I think more people are saying to me, having their heads turned again by a certain Summoner's Rift that's around the corner because ultimately they've gone, well, that looks okay. That looks like I might be able to get involved in that. And actually, I'm going to spend less money trying that than I am
keeping up with Magic.
So, like, just hold your horses, team. That's what we're saying. But we had a little bit of a rant here. If you're still here listening, thank you for staying the course. We still love our competitive formats, as we did our Seven River series, and obviously that is now over. All of our events are complete. The whole 16 events, where we had over 95 people across the Southwest playing all the events. And one of our own, Douglas Penman, Dougie P, came out on top winning the overall series. So Doug, we'll have him probably formally on this show. You'll hear him on some of the commentary stuff. I've had to delete so many shorts where he was inappropriate in. I kidded, Doug. He's a great laugh. But beyond, obviously, some prize goodies, and obviously the next vlog, we've got a bit of more of a wrap up of what's happened to the series, what's happening next with the series, and what's in store for us. Because there's a big old schedule over the next few weeks, and I think our focus is gonna direct towards Liverpool. It's going to direct towards trying hard at what would be called the UK GP. And
we had to get one at some point.
Yeah, giving a good go, getting our decks out on the highest stage possible, and doing our very best. Get to your local game stores this week if you can. Get playing, get drafting, get more Shocklands. Get yourself prepared for the upcoming RCQ season. Scott, any last advice you want to give before we sign off?
No, I would say just, as I said, just be careful when you're spending big money. If you can build a deck with commons and uncommons that you can pick up for cheap or even free from some of your friends who play Commander, who will look at timeline color and think, this card's crap, I will never play it. And you can go, well, can I pinch that off you? And they're like, oh yeah, it's an uncommon. Whatever, go for it.
Yeah.
We even do that in we'll call it our testing team, shall we? And sound like nice and official. But in the group of guys that we've got locally who are more competitive players, we will be chucking cards to each other for events.
Yeah.
We've got that entrenched trust with each other as well. That's the thing, is all of that is already in place, and we are fortunate for that. But if you can just get the commons and uncommons, maybe forsake the rares and the mythics for another couple of weeks and just wait and see where things land, that will probably stand you in a much better stead than going out and buying 4 play sets of mythics for 20 quid a pop and then they just don't work or they plummet in price. Sometimes prices go up, sometimes they do, but more often than not they go down. They will generally trend down. Just be careful. Wait for our episode next week. I'm sure we'll have a bit of data to talk about. I'm sure we'll end up talking about standard decks because, as Dave said, going into the RCQ season, we're going to try and give him a rocky training montage and get him up to snuff, ready for Liverpool. So,
absolutely, absolutely. And if you can't get your deck out this week, you can follow us on the YouTube and Twitch channels. You go find Oldie Dave everywhere. Thank you to Magic Online. We have our access account, which means that we get all the cards from day one. As much as Scott and I can, we're going to get on and play in, showcasing some of the stuff we think is cool, trying to break it, and we promise you that any deck we do make, though, we will be building a sideboard. I can edit towards the end. Oh, you're not going to do it?
What?
Something funny.
What? Something funny?
For the outro.
Oh no, too tired. I'm hungover and I ran a pre-release today and I don't want to do it. There we are. That can be your funny thing. You can clip that bit.
He made me do it, Dad.
I was drinking too much rum